I, 35M, have been married to my wife Claire, 32F, for 7 years, together for 10. We met through mutual friends in college, clicked instantly, and for a long time I genuinely thought I'd hit the jackpot. Claire was smart, funny, driven, and had this wild, adventurous side that made life exciting. We traveled a lot, tried new things, and honestly, I felt like we were a team. We even had our fair share of ups and downs, but nothing that made me question our bond. We'd been talking about having kids for a while, but she kept pushing it off, saying she wanted to wait until she finished one more promotion, one more goal, one more trip. I supported her. I thought we were aligned on building a future. But then, about 6 months ago, she started acting off. She was distant. Not in a dramatic way, but subtle. Less affectionate. More tired from work. Phone glued to her hand but turned face down constantly. Suddenly she had a lot of girls' nights and weekend retreats with her sister. She told me she was helping her sister, Lindsay, who couldn't have kids, through a rough patch with her marriage and IVF stress. I didn't question it. Claire and Lindsay were close, and I respected her for being there for family. I chalked it all up to stress. We were both busy, right? People go through dry spells. I thought maybe she was just burned out. But looking back now, that was the beginning of the storm. So, things started unraveling in small, almost unnoticeable ways. Claire got cagey with her schedule. She started keeping her phone on silent all the time, said it was because work was overwhelming and she needed some peace when she was home. Okay, fine. But then I noticed she'd leave the room to take calls, or suddenly her battery died when she was away. Classic red flags, but I ignored them. I trusted her. That was my first mistake. Then there was the money. I handle most of the bills, but we have a shared account for bigger expenses. One day I noticed a withdrawal, $900. When I asked her about it, she said it was for a surprise anniversary trip she was planning for us. That sounded sweet, until no trip materialized. I started asking questions. She got defensive fast. Like, immediately angry. She accused me of not trusting her, of being controlling. Said I was paranoid. I felt like crap for even doubting her. Maybe I was overthinking, right? But it didn't stop there. Her girls' trips started getting longer. One weekend turned into 4 days. Then 5. When she got back, she was all sunshine and wine-scented hugs, but cold when the topic turned to intimacy or future plans. She started dodging the topic of having kids. Said it was too much pressure, that maybe she wasn't meant to be a mom. That hurt. I wanted a family. We'd talked about it for years. Meanwhile, she was spending more and more time with her sister, Lindsay. At least, that's what she said. I should have known then. But I didn't. Not yet. The real break came when I ran into Lindsay's husband, Jason, at the grocery store. We chatted for a bit, just casual stuff. I asked how Lindsay was doing and mentioned how Claire had been spending so much time helping her with IVF stress. Jason blinked at me. What are you talking about? I kind of laughed it off, thinking maybe he was playing dumb. Claire said she was staying with you guys a few weekends to support Lindsay. I figured things must be rough on you both. He just stared at me and said, Claire hasn't been here. Not even once. In fact, Lindsay's been staying with her mom lately. We're taking a break. I felt the air leave my lungs. I played it cool, said something about a misunderstanding, and made an excuse to leave. The second I got to my car, I sat there for 10 minutes, gripping the steering wheel, heart pounding in my ears. That's when it hit me, she wasn't helping her sister. She was lying to my face. I drove home, trying to piece everything together, every excuse, every time she snapped at me, every weekend she left with vague explanations. It all started to make a sick kind of sense. And the worst part? I still didn't want to believe it. I wanted there to be another explanation. Maybe Jason was confused. Maybe Claire was helping Lindsay in secret. Maybe I was being paranoid. But deep down, I knew something was seriously wrong. And I was going to find out exactly what it was. After that conversation with Jason, I couldn't let it go. I waited until Claire was asleep one night and finally did what I had been resisting for months. I went through her phone. It was locked, of course, but I'd seen her enter the passcode a dozen times. My hands were shaking, but I got in. Nothing in the texts. She was too smart for that. But the email. Goldmine. She had a separate account synced to her phone that she probably forgot was still accessible. That's where I found confirmation. Hotel confirmations, plane tickets, dinner reservations, all under her name, sometimes with just initials for the guest she was booking with. Not her sister. A guy. One name stood out, D. There were messages like, "Can't wait to see you again. That weekend was perfect. I needed it. He's still clueless. I'll make up something about Lindsay again." I felt physically sick. I scrolled through everything, photos, messages, dates. It had been going on for at least 6 months. And from the tone of the emails, this wasn't just a fling. There was emotion. Planning. Cover-ups. She was building a whole separate life behind my back. At 3 a.m., I was still sitting on the edge of the bed staring at her while she slept peacefully beside me. I didn't wake her. But in that moment, I knew I'd never see her the same way again. The next morning, I didn't say anything right away. I went through the motions, made coffee, packed up for work, but my head was spinning. Claire acted normal. Too normal. She kissed me on the cheek like she always did, told me she'd be at Lindsay's that weekend. I almost laughed in her face. I let her leave first. Then I called in sick, sat down at my laptop, and compiled everything I found. Emails, bookings, photos, screenshot and saved. I even called the hotel she'd stayed at for Lindsay and pretended to be confirming a reservation. They verified everything. She'd checked in with a man. That evening, when she came back from running errands, I was waiting. I had the laptop open on the dining table. Her face changed the second she walked in and saw it. I'll never forget the color draining from her cheeks. "What's this?" she asked, playing dumb. "You tell me," I said. "Because unless D is short for your gynecologist, you've got a hell of an explanation to give me." Her eyes darted to the screen, and for a second, just a second, I saw pure panic. But then she snapped back into that cold, manipulative version of herself. "That's not what you think," she said. "No." "Then explain the hotel, the dinners, the 6 months of lying, Claire. Enlighten me." She hesitated, then went for the Hail Mary, gaslighting. "You're spying on me. That's what this is. You went through my phone. Are you serious? That's a total violation." I slammed my hand on the table. Don't flip this. You've been cheating on me. Don't you dare make this about me." She crossed her arms and said, "Fine. You want the truth. You've been emotionally unavailable for years. You work too much. We haven't been happy. I needed something real. That was it. No apology. No remorse. Just blame." In that moment, something inside me broke. After that confrontation, we didn't speak for 2 days. She stayed in the guest room, sulking like I had betrayed her. The audacity was unreal. I thought that was the worst of it, until the real bomb dropped. Claire sat me down and said, in this dead calm voice, "There's something I need to tell you, and you're not going to like it." I braced myself, thinking maybe she was going to confess to more affairs. But what came out of her mouth made my skin crawl. She said, "I went on a private trip last month. I wasn't with a guy. I was helping Lindsay. I agreed to be a surrogate for her and Jason. It was an arrangement. Medical. Confidential." I laughed. I thought it was another lie. But she just sat there stone-faced. "You what?" I said. You mean to tell me, you secretly got pregnant with someone else's child, your sister's child, without even talking to me about it? She nodded. It was the least I could do. Lindsay can't carry anymore. And Jason begged me. It was a quick IVF trip. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd never understand. I stared at her like she was an alien. You were cheating on me and being a surrogate in secret. What kind of twisted, narcissistic? It wasn't cheating, she cut in. It was a medical procedure. And you were the one who's been checked out for years. That was her favorite line, you've been checked out. Translation, it's your fault I did all this. I walked out. I didn't pack. I didn't grab a jacket. I just walked out and drove around aimlessly for hours, screaming inside my car until I had no voice left. How the hell do you process something like that? She got pregnant, on purpose, for another man. Lied to me for months. Gaslit me. Slept with someone else on the side. And now she wanted me to somehow understand. Something inside me turned ice cold that night. And from that point on, I knew this wasn't just going to end in divorce. I was going to make sure they all paid. After that night, I stopped reacting emotionally. I went numb. Cold. Detached. Claire mistook that for acceptance. She started walking around like everything was fine, like she had dropped a bomb and expected me to help sweep up the ashes. She even had the nerve to suggest we try therapy to rebuild trust. Trust. This woman cheated, lied, secretly carried someone else's child, and wanted to talk it out. No. I wasn't about to be the nice guy anymore. I started gathering everything. Backups of her emails. Screenshots. Medical appointment confirmations. I even reached out to Jason, Lindsay's husband, on a burner account, pretending to be someone else. That's when I got a shock. Jason had no idea Claire was the surrogate. Lindsay told him they used a clinic in another state. An anonymous donor. She made Claire sign a private, unofficial agreement so she wouldn't get legally attached to the baby. I had to read his messages twice. Jason was livid. Confused. Heartbroken. We ended up talking on the phone and pieced it all together. Turns out Lindsay and Claire were both manipulating him. They wanted a baby, but Lindsay didn't want Jason knowing that it was her sister carrying it, because of his past crush on Claire. Yep. That little detail popped out casually. Everything started to click. Claire wasn't just cheating. She was playing puppet master in some twisted family drama where I was the disposable idiot. But I wasn't going down quietly. I had a plan forming. One that would hit them where it hurt the most. Now that I had Jason on my side, things got interesting. We both agreed, these women thought they were geniuses, but they were sloppy. Arrogant. They didn't expect anyone to connect the dots, let alone work together. That was their mistake. Jason decided to play it cool with Lindsay. Pretended nothing had changed while secretly recording conversations and collecting anything that could prove deception, especially anything showing Claire was more than just a surrogate. Meanwhile, I started working on my end. I made an appointment with a divorce attorney and got advice on how to protect myself legally. I opened a separate bank account, started quietly moving my money out, and backed up everything: texts, emails, call logs, receipts, screenshots. I even installed a hidden camera in the living room. Call me paranoid, but I wasn't letting her twist anything when this blew up. Then I reached out to Claire's work. See, she wasn't just having an affair, she was doing it with her boss. D turned out to be Damien, some mid-level exec who was also married with kids. He had no idea I existed, and his wife definitely didn't know about Claire. I mailed her every single screenshot anonymously. 1 week later, Damien's wife filed for divorce and sent the screenshots to his company's HR. He got fired. Claire came home bawling, claiming someone ruined her life and she was being harassed. I pretended to be concerned, asked what happened, and she screamed about Damien losing his job and how everything was falling apart. I told her maybe that's karma. She didn't like that. But I wasn't done yet. Not even close. Jason and I were just getting started. Jason was quiet for a week, playing the perfect husband. Meanwhile, Lindsay was glowing, bragging to friends that her miracle baby was finally happening and that everything was falling into place. Disgusting. But Jason had been smart. He recorded a conversation where Lindsay admitted the baby was Claire's, not a donor's. She also let slip that she'd kept it from Jason because she didn't trust him to stay loyal if he found out Claire was involved. That one sentence sealed her fate. He sent me the audio. Crystal clear. That gave me the green light to launch phase 2 of the plan, full exposure. I booked a small family dinner at our house. Just Claire, Lindsay, Jason, and me. I told Claire it was to rebuild the trust and bring everyone back together. She was thrilled. She even baked a damn cake. The 4 of us sat around the table. I let the wine flow, let them feel comfortable. Then I pulled out my laptop, opened a file titled Truth, and turned it toward them. First, I played the audio of Lindsay. Lindsay's face went pale. Jason didn't even look at her, just stared straight ahead like he already knew. Claire tried to interrupt, but I held up my hand and said, "We're just getting started." Then I opened the email archive. Showed them the screenshots of Claire's hotel bookings. Emails with Damien. The fake IVF appointments. And finally, a printed document, a copy of the private surrogacy agreement they'd both tried to keep hidden. Lindsay looked like she wanted to disappear. Claire went ballistic, screaming, calling me a psycho, yelling at Jason for betraying her. The usual deflection. Jason stood up calmly, looked at them both, and said, "I'll be filing for divorce tomorrow." And the custody agreement? That's about to get real interesting. Then he walked out. Claire turned to me, shaking with rage. "What do you want from me?" I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Nothing. You already gave me everything I needed." She didn't get it then. But she would soon. The days after their truth dinner were pure chaos. Claire tried every tactic in the book: rage, tears, gaslighting, even seduction. One minute she was accusing me of being manipulative, the next she was offering to start fresh and go to therapy. I didn't flinch. I slept on the couch with the door locked. I barely spoke to her. She kept asking, "What are you going to do?" And I'd just say, "You'll see." Meanwhile, Lindsay was in full damage control mode. She bombarded Jason with texts, emails, even begged his parents to intervene. But Jason had reached his breaking point. He changed the locks and served her divorce papers 2 days later. Her fake surrogacy dream was over. Then came the legal side. Turns out, that private surrogacy agreement Claire signed. Yeah, completely unenforceable. She hadn't gone through a certified clinic, and Jason never consented to the arrangement in writing. Which meant Claire was now legally the child's mother. She'd volunteered her womb to her sister, but now the baby was hers, with full maternal rights. Poetic, really. Lindsay flipped out, tried threatening Claire, then begged her to just give her the baby. Claire refused, told her that since she lost her job and was about to lose her husband, maybe being a mom would give her life some meaning. They turned on each other so fast it was like watching hyenas fight over a carcass. I just watched it unfold with quiet satisfaction. But I wasn't done yet. There was still the matter of my revenge. And believe me, I had one last card to play. By now, Claire was a shell of herself. She'd lost her job after her boss's scandal made its way around the office. Word spread fast. Turns out, sleeping with your superior while pretending to be a selfless surrogate doesn't play well in corporate HR. Who knew? She was staying in the house still, but barely spoke to me. Her lawyer reached out, suggesting we mediate the divorce quietly. I declined. I wanted it public. I wanted the truth on record. But before I filed, I had one final gift to give her. See, while she was busy lying, I had quietly installed monitoring software on the shared home PC. Nothing illegal, just enough to track activity. One night, a few weeks back, she'd logged into a private cloud folder. Guess what I found? A video. Several, actually. Her. Damien. Hotel room. Clear faces. Clear audio. Timestamped. She recorded everything. I don't know why, maybe it was some power fantasy or insurance policy, but she kept copies. And I had them now. So I burned a copy onto a USB and slipped it into an envelope. No return address. I mailed it to her parents. Yep. Claire's ultra-conservative, holier-than-thou parents who had lectured me for years about being a good husband and honoring family. The same ones who doted on her and believed she walked on water. The fallout was glorious. They cut her off. Called her a disgrace. Her mother called me sobbing, apologizing for ever doubting me. I told her not to worry, I was done protecting Claire's lies. When Claire found out, she lost it. Threw a mug at the wall. Screamed that I'd ruined her life. And you know what? I just smiled. Because finally, she was the one left in pieces. I filed the divorce papers the next morning. Irreconcilable differences didn't even begin to cover it, but my lawyer said keeping it clean on paper would make it easier to nuke her financially. And that was the goal now, maximum damage, minimum mess for me. Claire tried to negotiate. She suddenly wanted to settle like adults. Claimed she didn't want things to get ugly, that she was willing to make compromises. Too late. I refused alimony. She didn't deserve a cent. I had documentation of the affair, the deception, and all the financial nonsense she'd hidden from me, including the withdrawal she claimed was for an anniversary trip that went into a joint Airbnb account she used with Damien. My lawyer was relentless. We even subpoenaed her work laptop from the company she got fired from, full of love notes, shared files, and confidential work documents she'd sent to him. That alone nuked her severance. HR ruled it gross misconduct. No unemployment benefits either. Oh, and remember that baby? The clinic wouldn't back Claire's claim of surrogacy, and since Jason legally denied paternity, guess who was suddenly facing full custody of a child she never actually wanted? Yep. Claire. She sobbed in court. Lindsay refused to take the baby, called Claire unstable in her statement. The judge was stunned. I stood there calm as hell, watching her unravel in front of everyone while her perfect image shattered into dust. All those lies, the manipulation, the smugness, it all came crashing down. And I didn't even have to raise my voice once. After the court ruling, Claire was left with nothing but a mountain of consequences and a baby on the way she never actually wanted. Her support system vanished overnight. Her parents cut ties. Lindsay blocked her on everything. Damien ghosted her the moment the scandal hit his home life. He moved states with his ex-wife and kids, trying to salvage whatever was left of his own mess. Claire tried to reach out to me. First, through texts, "I miss you, I didn't mean for this to happen, can we talk?" Then through guilt, "I'm alone, I'm scared, you don't know what it's like to carry a baby and be abandoned." I didn't respond. I'd already moved into a new apartment. Peaceful, quiet, my own. I changed my number, blocked her from everything. The only thing I kept was a spare email for legal communications. I heard through a mutual friend that she ended up on her sister's doorstep one night, 7 months pregnant, crying, begging Lindsay to just help her raise the baby. Lindsay slammed the door in her face. There was a kind of tragic poetry to it. Claire spent her whole life manipulating people into believing she was special, selfless, irresistible. Now, not even her own blood wanted her. I didn't feel sorry for her. She chose all of this. She wanted power, secrets, and control. What she got was a burned-down life and a child she tried to use as leverage. My conscience. Clean. I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. I didn't sabotage anything. I just exposed what was already rotting beneath the surface. And I'd never felt lighter. A few weeks after everything settled, I took a solo trip. Just me, the open road, and silence. No lies. No walking on eggshells. No fake smiles or half-truths. I didn't realize how tense I'd been for the past year until I felt what peace was actually like. I spent time hiking, camping, journaling, something I hadn't done since college. I reflected on how I got here. How I ignored the red flags because I loved her. How I bent over backward to be the good husband while she was scheming behind my back. How I believed in a future she had never intended to build with me. And strangely, I didn't feel broken. I felt free. Claire tried reaching out again. I didn't answer. She emailed a long, dramatic message about how lonely she was, how motherhood was terrifying, how she wished she could take it all back. She still never said, "I'm sorry." Not once. Typical. I forwarded it to my lawyer and deleted it. No response. No reaction. Jason and I still talk from time to time. He's doing better. Dating again, slowly. He says he feels like he dodged a grenade, and honestly, same. We joke sometimes about writing a book or starting a podcast called The Surrogate Scandal. Maybe one day. People always say time heals, and I used to think that was just something folks say when they don't know what else to offer. But they are right. Because now, I sleep easy. No secrets. No lies. Just quiet. Looking back, I see everything clearly now. The late nights. The sudden coldness. The over-explaining. The gaslighting. All of it was part of a slow, calculated betrayal that I was too loyal, and too blind, to see for what it was. But here's the truth. If someone lies to your face, cheats behind your back, manipulates your reality, and still expects sympathy when their web of bullshit collapses, they were never your partner. They were your enemy in disguise. Claire didn't just cheat on me with a man. She cheated on the life we built. She used me as a placeholder while she crafted some twisted fantasy involving her sister's family and a secret baby. And in the end, she became the very thing she feared most, alone. So what did I learn? If your gut says something's wrong, believe it. People who love you don't need to lie to you. Forgiveness is fine, but accountability is better. You are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Revenge isn't about anger. It's about clarity. About letting people drown in the mess they made for themselves. For anyone reading this going through something similar, document everything. Stay calm. Don't yell. Don't beg. Just watch. They will bury themselves if you give them the silence to dig. Now, I'm rebuilding. Slowly. On my terms. I've started seeing someone new, and while I'm cautious, I feel hope again. Real hope. Not the fake kind I used to wrap around red flags. So that's my story. My cheating wife went on a secret trip, became a surrogate for her sister without my knowledge, cheated with her boss, and ended up alone and disgraced. I walked away with my dignity, my sanity, and a story that still sounds too insane to be real. But it is. And I lived it. Thanks for reading, Reddit.